Hi, guys. Very good evening to everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Business Coaching Secrets, where we are absolutely thrilled to host our action coach, Anuj Sarin, who's a distinguished business coach with over 2 decades of experience, particularly on the CXO level. And Anuj has excelled in business development, relationship management, banking, and financial services, who's renowned for his ability to build trust-based relationships with the clients, and he has consistently demonstrated excellence and leadership throughout his whole career journey. So, welcome Anuj to today's episode, and we really look forward to gain more insights and understand how things work in the business landscape and the sales world.
Yeah, thank you, Mumbai, for that introduction. Very flowery, and I hope I can add value by giving my inputs during this conversation.
Absolutely. So now that we are learning about, or we are going to talk about sales today, I would first like to start and understand how exactly is the background, or what exactly made you come to business coaching, or can you share a bit about the journey of how you became a business coach who's so specializing into sales?
Yeah, so it's an interesting journey that I've had. After my post graduation, I have corporate experience of about 22 odd years, where I've performed in various roles with various organizations, including strategic roles, credit research, fixed income research, and consulting. But my last engagement was with an organization called HSBC, where I was working in the corporate banking division.
Okay.
And I served 17 years with HSBC, where I was looking after relationship management with financial institutions. So companies like insurance companies, mutual funds, broker dealers, stock exchanges were my clients.
Okay, lovely.
Uh, Now in 2022, I left them as a director, and I was looking at various options on what to pursue next. And when I sat down on a table, I thought to myself, what are my key strengths? What do I actually call myself as a professional career person? What exactly does Anuj Sarin stand for? And what are the strengths that I can put on the table? And I realized that I'm very passionate about interacting with people, interacting with clients, building relationships, discussing with them, understanding what their issues, problems are, what their goals are, and then, hopefully in some professional capacity, provide them a solution to address those concerns. Erstwhile, I did it in the context of banking products.
Okay.
And then I was thinking, how can I take that skill set forward? In which domain can I potentially look to use those skill sets to build on my career further? And I came across business coaching. I came across Action Coach as an interesting opportunity.
Lovely.
Uh, I was a bit uncertain about getting back to the corporate world, so I wanted to try my hand at doing something on my own. Uh, Therefore, consulting was an option, but I decided not to pursue that. I went down the path of becoming a business coach with Action Coach. Uh, it's very similar. Again, you're interacting with clients, you're extending your experiences to them. The business owners appreciate the value you add on the table, and ultimately, you're doing it with the objective of meeting the business owners' goals and helping them scale up their business.
Absolutely.
So I thought this was an interesting area for me to pursue and develop my career path.
Lovely. I think that was very helpful enough for us to understand what brings you here on this scale today. Now, I would really like to understand, or even the audience would like to understand, what are some key experiences in your career that have, shaped your approach towards making sales or becoming a business coach as your main agenda?
Yeah, so for me, the mantra, when I went down my sales and relationship management journey, the
Mhm.
mantra for me was very clear, right? You have to be a good listener, and you always have to approach the client relationship from a solutioning perspective.
Correct.
So you need to work with clients and their leaders, and my interactions were largely with CXO level clientele in large financial institution organizations. You interact with these leaders to understand their business needs, and then you look to address those, rather than selling your banking product to them. And I think that approach helps me in coaching as well a lot, right? Because again, it's about listening. It's about patiently hearing out what the business owner is out there to achieve, what the objective is, and then you try to fulfill that by setting out a specific set of activities which the business owner can go and implement and achieve those results over a period of time. It's not about selling your product, it's about helping the other person buy your product
Exactly.
uh, by fulfilling their requirements, not by selling what you have as a product or a service proposition.
Absolutely. I think this itself tells us how important sales is for an entrepreneur and a business. Now, coming to businesses, I would really like to understand what are some or what are the most common sales challenges businesses face today, and what would you tell to all these entrepreneurs that how can they help in overcoming these challenges?
Yeah, so Mrunmayee, look, when a lot of clients that I interact with, one common challenge that I wouldn't say particularly the SME, MSME sector, but even larger corporates face this challenge at times. Uh, there, it's observed that they are fairly concentrated in their customer base. Okay.
Okay,
So the Pareto principle, typically that 20% of your customers are giving you 80% of the revenues, becomes a little more concentrated, specifically in the SME, MSME sector. And that leads to challenges because your outcomes and performance in terms of sales and revenues are subject to the vagaries of how your top customers are performing, right? So if your top one, two, three, five customers aren't performing well in a given year, maybe that sector isn't doing too well, or that country that you're exporting to isn't doing too well, or that region that you're working with in India has undergone some change, or there's a regulatory change, or whatever the reason might be. If those top 3 to 5 customers are not doing too well, it directly has an impact on your sales numbers because you're so dependent on them doing well for you to do well also. Uh, and what we work with our clients to overcome this challenge is on two folds. One is the obvious, that you diversify your customer base so that you're not that concentrated with the top three, top five,
correct.
which is very, very obvious. Uh, but what sometimes people confuse that to mean is that you shrink your share with the top three and the top five, and you grow your share with the customers outside that top three, top five.
Exactly, exactly.
That's not the strategy to use. What we usually recommend to our clients is that the top three, top five are your best customers. You most certainly need to implement strategies to enhance your share of wallet with those clients. But customers beyond the top three, top five, you need to grow faster. So you need to figure out how to add new clients, good quality clients, and how to deepen those relationships even better so that you grow that share of the pie quicker than you grow the share of your pie with your existing customer. Also, typically, economies of scale, once you have penetrated a customer deep enough and you enjoy a fairly large share of wallet, you can't really grow it that much. But you can grow definitely a customer that is new to your organization.
Absolutely.
You can increase your interactions, your dealings with them. So that share is much easier to go because the delta is much easily achievable,
Right.
right? So that's what we suggest to business owners when we work with them to overcome this issue of concentration of sales with a few clients.
Okay, okay. I think, I mean, such an in-depth understanding of how the number of the business shares matters is something which really helps us. Now, how do you tailor various sales strategies for different types of businesses? Now, MSME is one sector, and there are some businesses which are at a much bigger level. So, how do you tailor sales strategies from different organizations?
Uh, okay. See, the principles of sales, they broadly remain the same irrespective of whichever industry or sector you are or what
Okay.
the size of your business is,
Okay.
right? Sales really is an outcome. It is formula driven. I usually charge for giving my inputs on this to clients, but
Okay.
I'll be
All
magnanimous
right.
over here.
All
But
right.
I'll be
We'll just cut
magnanimous
it
over
very
here.
short. Yes.
Yeah, so they are ingredients that contribute to your sales numbers. Factors like leads that you generate, your conversion rate, the average value of the sale, and the number of times that uh, a client is transacting with your organization. If you concentrate on those four parameters and you look to enhance them, it will automatically result in a significant enhancement in your sales numbers.
Okay. Okay.
So the strategies remain the same. Yes, the tone of the strategy might differ from one sector, from one
Definitely.
client, depending on the size of the business, depending on which particular industry you are in. That might vary, and it varies because what is needed when you're looking at implementing a sales strategy with a client is a proper assessment of elements like market sizing, who are the target segments of that client,
Correct. Correct.
what is the customer life cycle, and the various touch points that you have with the customer when you deal with the customer, what is the end use of the product. And then, depending on the company's current level of sales and marketing, we will work with them to test and measure strategies and success that we achieve in them by implementing different lead generation and conversion strategies.
Okay. Okay. I think this solves enough of the doubts that usually scounder around this. Now, when it comes to businesses, there are sales skills or there are some skill sets which every salesperson should have. And what are the top three that you could name? You can name, or what are some important sales skill sets as a salesperson that every person should have or every person should develop to?
Okay. Uh, I would, if you talk about three skill sets, I would say, look, it's important to understand that sales is an emotion driven decision. It's not a logic driven decision. Okay. They
Okay.
say that 70% of a person's decision to buy is based on emotion rather than on logic.
Absolutely.
And when you talk about emotion, it is very important to be a good listener. So I think the first skill set for a salesperson is to be a very good listener. You do not need to be a glib talker. Very often people assume that salespeople are good talkers. That is not the case. Good listeners are good salespeople. I like to say that God has blessed us with two ears and one mouth. Keep it in that proportion when you are interacting with a client. So that is the first skill set that I talk about. The second skill set, and very very obvious, but it's extremely important to know your product or the service and to be aware of market developments around that. When you're aware of the ecosystem and market developments related to your product and service, you become a subject matter expert, and the customer approaches you to resolve queries that they might have. And
Definitely.
if in a sales process a customer is asking you questions, you can assume that half the battle is won.
Okay. Absolutely.
The third thing that I would think is most important is to have a complete and clear understanding on who your client is.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Uh, Look, I had alluded to this earlier and I'll say it again. Sales is not about selling your product or service, but it's about professionally helping your customer to buy or fulfilling your customer's need.
Absolutely.
So please understand that you are not selling your product or service. You are understanding what the customer is, what the customer's need is, and then you're fitting your product or service to meet that need. And that I think is an important skill to develop.
Great, great. I think this is something that all the people who are going to view, who are viewing this would, understand that what are the top things that a salesperson should always look up to as their skill sets. Now, coming to understanding of when a business is running, uh, our audience and even I myself would really like to understand how do we keep the sales, or how do we keep ourselves completely and always ahead of what is going on in the sales world, and how do you encourage that? For example, what role does continuous learning play to stay ahead in the ahead in sales or to stay on track in sales?
Yeah, it's absolutely imperative, and I'll draw parallels, right? If you're a manufacturing organization, for you, research and development is very important because you want a good product. You need to continually improve that product. Likewise, in sales, if irrespective of whatever sector industry you are in, continuous learning is absolutely imperative for your sales team, right? Many organizations now actually term, and this is something that kind of evolved, and the concept came about, post the financial crisis. Many organizations now term their sales team as the first line of defense.
Okay, all right.
These are your people in the organization who are closest to the clients,
Right.
right? And hence they are your richest source of market feedback and intelligence.
Absolutely.
They're your richest source of understanding who your customer is, who your client is, and what kind of behaviors they exhibit, right? Honestly, an organization can only invest that much in the technical and the soft skill training of a sales professional.
Okay.
The best learning, I think, comes on the job, from both successes, from deals you win, as well as from rejections, deals you lose. Uh, but the salesperson has to be conscious about that, and it has to be an ingrained skill in a sales individual that comes from within, that they need to continuously learn. And the best learning that they can get is on the job when they are actually making their sales pitches from deals won as well as deals rejected.
Absolutely. I think learning is something that never stops. Maybe you're in school, you're in college, or even if you're at a very high position in your career, I think it is something that always keeps on happening. Now, coming to the technicalities of the sales world, what are some must-have tools or technologies which you find completely indispensable for a business to as a sales perspective?
There are various technologies that are available out there. I would think having a very robust CRM is essential. Okay. Maintaining immaculate details of your customers, your interactions with them, and your deal pipeline, it provides not only meaningful MIS to the management, but it also helps future-proof the organization from the perspective of a sales team, right? If a particular sales member in the sales team were to move on, were to find a new job,
Mm-hmm.
uh, right, it kind of future-proofs the organization, because if you have all the data in your with regards to your customer interactions on record, a new person coming in that gets inducted into your organization can hit the ground running, right? So
Absolutely.
having a very, very robust CRM, I think, is important, both from the perspective of giving valuable MIS to management, and also future proofing your organization in terms of salespeople leaving and new people coming.
Okay, all right, all right. And now that we understood that, you know, how CRM is something which is extremely important to us, any other, I mean, how do we understand that? How can we integrate technology into the sales strategies? For example, if I am pitching something to my prospective client as a salesperson, how do I integrate technology in that without losing the personal touch for it?
Yeah, look, I'm a little old school. So honestly, I'm not a big fan of technology replacing human
Okay,
touch and
I
human
would really,
interactions
really
with the
like the honest
customer.
answer of it. Yes.
but uh, but technology is a great tool in other ways, right? To generate leads and to maintain your sales and customer data. However, I firmly believe, I don't think it can replace the element of human touch. Now,
Definitely.
remember what I referred to earlier. Sales, a person is buying based on 70% emotion and 30% logic.
Logic, right.
Technology cannot bring about emotion.
Definitely.
Technology,
So,
emotion only comes through social interaction with a fellow being, right? So there are various things that technology can do amongst industries. You can use AI, you can use automated calls, automated messaging, but that is probably more relevant for the commoditized product offering or for the services industry, where those kind of technologies can be implemented and conversations with the client are repetitive,
okay.
right? But in most other organizations, conversations with the client, and they are not repetitive. A salesperson has to be nimble on his foot. They need to pivot depending on which direction the conversation is going in.
Okay.
And therefore, I don't think you can take the human touch out. Technology can be used more from the data analytics perspective.
Absolutely. I think I pretty much align on the same terms because as a consumer end, I've always realized or felt that whenever there was something sold to me from a person, it felt more nicer because as the first statement that you mentioned that you buy through emotion, not behind the logic of it. So I understand your answer. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, think about it. Think about it yourself as an individual. You know, if uh, a financial manager was to call you up, discuss with you, understand your financial goals, and then advise you investment options, would you go ahead with the financial manager? Or if you receive an automated call from, let's say, some of the financial or the fund management firms, and
Mm-hmm.
that's happening in today's date because you do receive
Yeah,
these
it
kind of
does.
automated
Yes.
calls to say that they have a new fund offer. You know, it's a very exciting opportunity because manufacturing is coming up in India. This is a fund concentrated on manufacturing. You should invest in it. Now, which of these options would you choose?
Absolutely. I think the first one where the person is calling me up, telling me how it is going to be beneficial and, how it can be up to the utilization mark will really, will make me buy it, definitely.
Right, right.
Right, right. Yes. So I think this solves a lot of, doubts regarding how do you integrate technology with sales. Now coming to the management and how the process of sales can be uh, properly initiated. So how do you approach the optimization of a sales funnel? I'm sure there are many companies who are creating and focusing so much on funnels and funnels. So what is the way that you suggest for the optimum optimization of a sales funnel?
Okay. Before we before I answer that question,
Mhm.
you know, how do you first of all generate or create a funnel, right?
Okay.
So, funnel in an organization is the outcome of your lead generation strategies that you deploy to create sales funnels, right? Uh, Now, how do you optimize that sales funnel is the second question that you had asked me.
Correct.
And over there, really, it's important to test and measure which lead generation strategies are working for you, which are more effective for a particular organization or a particular sector. And then optimization is all about what you are doing with your leads, right?
Okay.
Once you've generated the leads, that's just the start of the game. It's not the end game, right? You have to know what you are doing with your leads, what is the pitch, what is the follow-up activity, what are the learnings from closure, whether the deal is won or whether the deal is lost. It's an entire journey that you have to undergo. And the optimization process is really about understanding what you're doing after the lead generation stage, how effectively you're doing it, and how often are you fine tuning it to make sure that you are effective in line with customer expectations and in line with market developments.
Okay. Okay. Now, same, I mean, there are a series of questions in the same line. So, after understanding that we understood how to optimize a sales funnel, what are some key measures or what are some important aspects that you look after, which you would consider the best or good practices for measuring sales performance, or what kind of basis do you have for measuring a sales performance?
Uh, Very good question because it's important, and more so for a sales team. For other teams, you can kind of space out the evaluation of their performance over a period of time. But for a sales team, we had alluded to continuous learning. At the same point in time, it's also important that they receive continuous feedback,
Absolutely.
right? So for a sales team, they really need to be evaluated constantly and on an ongoing basis. Now, frankly, measuring sales performance will be a mix of both subjective as well as objective parameters.
Okay.
Subjective parameters can include areas like their understanding of the product, their ability to communicate how well the product or the service offering is for a customer, right? Their understanding of the target customer segment and their understanding of the market, right? Who are the competitors? Uh, what kind of developments are taking place? What new products? What new geographies, etc. At the same point, there can be objective parameters also, which can include areas like generation of new leads. What should the lead response time for a salesperson be?
Okay.
How many deals should a salesperson close over a period of time? We typically advise our customers that when you want to see an enhancement in your sales performance, you should monitor these parameters on a weekly basis.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so that you know that your your organization is headed in the direction or towards the sales goal that you've set out for yourselves.
Definitely.
Other parameters like average purchase value, customer retention, profitability, etc., and customer feedback. These are all objective parameters that can also be assessed and that can be put into the KPIs of a salesperson.
Okay, okay. All right. Now, sales is something which is very much, as you mentioned, the more the human touch is there, or if there are sales people appointed to doing this, then it becomes an even better job. Now, what are some major tips that you would give us to motivate the sales team effectively to uh, after all, we are, I mean, the boss or the business owner is going to be there who's going to tell them, make them understand, and shape them into better salespeople. So, what are some things that you should always remember to motivate them effectively?
Yeah, sales teams very often actually require motivation at an individual level
Okay.
because your sales might comprise of different people doing different things. You know, some people might be selling by specific business units,
Okay.
specific products,
Okay.
or the sales team might be divided by geography. And
Mhm.
each geography, each client has different buying behavior.
Definitely.
Uh, Therefore, your motivations have to be guided according to the way a particular salesperson or particular region or customer that he's dealing with. Your motivation techniques should be tailor-made with respect to
Absolutely.
that particular salesperson.
Right.
Ultimately, managing and motivating a sales team effectively requires a combination of leadership, continuous communication,
Okay.
and understanding of those individual motivators for them, which can also come via customer feedback that is obtained from time to time.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I think amongst others, it's also important that sometimes sales teams, if not given proper direction, can run around like headless chickens.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so it's important that the sales team is very clear on what they are supposed to achieve.
Definitely.
You should have SMART, that is your specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals that
Okay.
are well defined for your sales team,
Okay.
so that they're running in a particular direction that you want them to move in. You need to provide them with continuous training and development. Uh, Offer incentives is another tool that some businesses use to get better performance out of their sales team. And you need to create a very collaborative work environment because when you're ultimately serving a customer, it is not just the salesperson that is interacting with the customer.
Mhm.
That is only one touch point in the customer journey.
Okay.
There are after sales activities as well for larger organizations. There are pre-sales activities also where different people might be interacting with the same customer that you are going to deal with.
Right.
And therefore, the salesperson cannot operate as an island, right? He
Mhm.
has to
Correct.
operate with the whole organization to ensure that the customer is happy. Customer service has to be A grade, delivery has to be on time. For all of that, the salesperson also needs support from other members in the team, right?
Yes.
So it's very important to give the salesperson a collaborative work environment so that he can work effectively with other people in the organization.
Definitely, definitely. I think a human job is something which requires all these touch points, and I'm sure these tips that Coach Anuj has just mentioned right now will are absolutely insightful. Now that we come to understanding of sales, there are client relationships and customer retention, which is a very important part of it. So, what are some of the strategies that you can tell us about today for building and maintaining a strong client relationships, as you are someone who has delved into this for a, a long amount of years and for a huge amount of time? So what are something that you should one should definitely look after for a better client relationship?
And this is a very extensive subject, so it will require a
Absolutely. We can, yeah, definitely.
it will require discussion on a lot of things, and
Yes,
the various things that contribute to developing
definitely.
a relationship.
Definitely.
I think what is of paramount importance is the element of trust, and trust building is not something that you can achieve in a meeting or two.
Absolutely.
It is a journey that you have to travel along with your customer, and
Yes.
when traveling that journey, you establish trust. Uh, on this subject, all that I'd say is that I prescribe what I call the CCD model.
Okay.
It's the connect, content, and delivery model.
Okay.
I've written a full article on this, which is published on my LinkedIn page. It's
Okay.
also published on the Grok website as a blog. Uh,
Definitely.
I would encourage people to read it. It's a 5-minute read, but I would strongly prescribe the CCD model for winning deals and for building relationships.
Absolutely. I think the article and this whole live session today will also help all our audiences to understand how to, better up their client relationships. Because as the end user, I've also experienced this, that the people or the businesses who really maintain a better relationship with the client have, I mean, the number of times I'm going back to the company keeps on increasing and increasing. So yes,
And
definitely.
that's the objective, really. I mean,
Exactly.
once you've opened doors with a customer, you have put in all the hard work to acquire that client, right? All the marketing activities, all the efforts to generating a lead, all the efforts to getting your foot in the door and getting that first meeting with the client. But the cheapest way to do business with a client is to get repeat orders from the same end customer, right?
Absolutely.
And to get repeat orders, you need a relationship. You need to be in touch with the customer so that you become the first port of call every time they have a requirement.
Definitely, definitely, absolutely. Although you mentioned cheapest, but getting repeat orders or getting repetitive customers is something which many businesses strive a lot to get into their business, or I mean their organizations. So yes, definitely, this will help them a lot. Now, coming to one of the most important factors of this whole process is failures or objections. As we have learned that failures are a stepping stone towards success, how would you, understand or make our audience understand that how well can we handle objections as salespeople and turn around a potential lost sale?
Yeah, uh, there is no quick fix on this. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, I think dealing with objections is a lot about anticipation.
Okay.
And let's be honest, any salesperson will get better at this with the experience of each incremental sale.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, when you will receive a rejection, my only advice would be, don't get dejected by that. Understand why the rejection happened. Was
Okay.
it your product? Was it the service? Or was it the way you position yourself and your organization? Take it as positive feedback to therefore improve on the areas because of which the rejection happened. So if
Okay.
it was the way you position the organization or the product, you need to modify your pitch better.
Okay.
If it was the product or the service itself, you need to redesign the product or service so that it is more amenable to the customer who wants to consume it.
Okay. All right.
Very important to, however, grab this on the job. As I said, you will get better with the experience of each incremental sale.
Mhm.
Uh, but once you establish the trait and the trick of managing or handling objections, it will establish your credential as a subject matter expertise. You will
Okay.
realize that customers will start coming to you to ask you for solutions rather than the other way around.
Definitely. Definitely. Yes.
Okay. I would just say that you should handle rejections gracefully.
Okay.
Just learn from them to improve your pitch or to improve your product and service.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also, and the reason I say that you should be graceful about it is because you want to leave the door open for future opportunities. So if a
Definitely.
particular deal has not happened, that's all right, but it doesn't mean you lose the customer. The customer might come back to you at a later point in time. So
Yes.
just leave the door open so that you can deal with them at a later stage.
Okay. Yes, definitely. I think making that point of contact always, or keeping that point of contact open for the customer to come back, will definitely help them as organizations. So yes, now when we talk about businesses, there are different trends, or there are different, a lot of changes that keep on happening in this landscape. So how does one business owner, or how does a salesperson keep on adapting to newer sales strategies, or the same sales strategies, in response to the changing market conditions? I'm sure there was a rise of AI, there was a rise of Make in India, there were a lot of things. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, as a business, and as a salesperson, how do we keep ourselves on track to the changing market conditions?
Yeah. Look, adapting sales strategies to changing market conditions, I think it's very crucial to stay competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To start with, you really need to be informed about what market trends are developing, how consumer preferences are changing, and what activities are your competitors undertaking,
Correct.
right? And once you have an understanding of that ecosystem, there has to be a basic realization that you need to be willing to pivot and adjust your strategies.
Hmm.
Very often organizations get stuck with strategies because they think it's the best way to deal with the client, but
Okay.
that might not be the case, right? Once you look at the developments of the ecosystem around you, you might realize that you need to pivot and change your strategy. So that realization is important. Uh, and this might require you to embrace new technology, or to change the way you are dealing with your target market, or to diversify into new markets, new channels, or new product or service offerings. So be it, but it's important to understand the developments happening around you. And sometimes the best way to know to acquire that, especially from a consumer preference perspective, is to obtain customer feedback.
Okay. Oh, yes, definitely.
Right. So that's a very important after sales activity that I prescribe to my clients on a regular and periodic basis. They should seek feedback from the customers for their own betterment.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So, one last thing that we would like to understand about the trends and something is, now there are many organizations who have services as their, or a particular software as their product. So there are many. I mean, with the ever-changing landscape of technology, what are the current sales trends that you believe can shape the future of this business industry?
Uh, See, this will differ by industry. Frankly, I don't think there's one answer that can brush all industries over here.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
you mentioned software developers. They will have a there's a very unique set of trends, more technology driven, and technology is changing so fast. So for them, it's really about technical developments.
Definitely.
For other organizations which are in the what would you say? Let's say in the manufacturing sector, they're more
Okay.
stable businesses, don't require change that frequently. Do require change, but not that frequently. Probably change is more gradual,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think by and large, again, I come back to the same point. Organizations, they need to be aware of the developing trends in the market.
Okay.
Uh, from a technology perspective, they need to be aware of trends developing in digital transformation.
Right.
So stuff like usage of CRM, usage of AI, data analytics, etc., is something very important that they need to be up to date about, especially data analytics. There's so much data. Data, they say, is the new gold, or is the new oil now. So how do you use your customer data to better your service or your product offering is very, very important.
Definitely.
I think businesses also need to be aware of the changes in the sales channels. That's another
Right.
area that is changing very, very frequently. So you need to
Definitely.
be aware of
Definitely.
trends over there.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like e-commerce and the adoption of SaaS. These are new models that have come up in the last 10, 15 years
Yes.
and have suddenly mushroomed, right? So people need to think whether they want to continue with their old way of dealing with
Mm.
customers directly or through dealerships, or they look at new channels to distribute their products.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So now this very much makes us understand about how the ever-changing landscape of the business industry can be, uh, properly aligned with the various sales strategies. Now, coming on to the newer businesses. Now, India is a country where we have a lot of startups coming almost on everyday basis. There are many people emerging, or there are many emerging startups coming into the industries. What is the key advices, or what are some specific advices that you would like to give to these new entrepreneurs to tackle their business and grow their sales?
Yeah, just a few things. I think, first of all, as far as new businesses are concerned, they need to be very, very clear on who their target market is and what is the value proposition that they're bringing to the table.
Okay.
Two parameters that new entrepreneurs need to be absolutely aware of. It's also important to understand that new entrepreneurs enjoy the benefit of having no past baggage, right?
Right.
So they can grow their customer base fast. They can grow it deploying the newest trends and the best technologies that will be available to their particular sector, industry, or product. Uh, However, there's one pitfall, and that I think new entrepreneurs should be aware of. It's nice to think and dream big,
Okay.
but I would rather adopt an approach of starting small and then being agile enough to scale up gradually by leveraging technology.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay. Uh, I think one pitfall that new entrepreneurs often face is that they try to grow too much too quickly. And in the attempt to do that, then sometimes they lose relevance in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and we've seen a lot of those kind of companies
I'm sure,
eventually
yes.
not being successful.
Correct.
Right. So I would say dream big, definitely have huge goals, targets in your mind. But take it gradually, and once you've tested, you've seen the success, you've tasted success, then you should scale up gradually.
Absolutely. Now, this is coming from someone who's, been in the industry for so long. We would really like to, know one thing from your career experience or your plethora of experiences, that what is the biggest lesson that you have learned throughout your career, in the field of businesses and sales, which you thought you would have known earlier?
Yeah. Okay. For me, and this is the biggest lesson, and that I learned somewhere midway through my career, and I hoped I would have understood it before, is that there's no black or white. I'm a very simple person. To me, the way I think, there's only one way to do things. There's a right way to do things, and everything else is wrong. And that is the kind of approach that I had when I started out on my career as well. However, when you're dealing in businesses, there are several shades of gray,
Okay.
right? And they are, because you're interacting with so many people, and every transaction will involve multiple beings, both in terms of your suppliers, your own organization,
Hmm.
your buyers. There are so many touch points at various points in times, and everybody will have their own independent opinions, right? And
Definitely.
I realized that there actually is no right or wrong. You can't have the approach of my way or the highway. You have to be
Right.
more adaptable. You have to have a more you have to have a more open mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and an attitude to respect alternative point of views. And I think that helps also because it helps you make a more informed decision,
Correct. I
right? So this is the one lesson that I learned midway through my career.
Very, very helpful enough. Now, a very personal question coming your way, which not only the audience but me myself would like to, gain more insights on, is why or what exactly made you come to business coaching, or what was there any personal mission attached towards coming to business coaching as a profession?
Uh, for me, I think it's so, Mrunmay, we discussed earlier. For me, it's a realization of where my skill sets lie. Right?
Okay.
as I mentioned, I stepped out of active service and I was trying to look at something challenging yet exciting for myself.
Correct.
And when I sat back on the drawing board to understand what my skill sets are, for me, relationship management, client interaction are activities that are important.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the continuity of that in business coaching.
Okay.
Okay, I was earlier dealing with large organizations and leaders in those organizations. I am still dealing with leaders, just that now they're in a different capacity. Now they are business owners,
Right.
right? But for me, that pleasure of interacting with a leader, understanding their perspectives, understanding their goals, and then hopefully being able to advise them in a fashion that those goals are achieved, that is what is going to give me satisfaction. And that is why I have chosen business coaching, because that I think is what is going to give me the cake.
Very nice, very nice. I think that really makes us understand after having such a huge experience, you're coming into something which is going to help shape up more and more amount of leaders, business owners through business coaching. So I'm sure, I think today's this session was very much helpful enough for all our audiences, all our people who are watching, and we look forward to doing more and more of such sessions, gaining more and more of insights from you on various other things which are a part of business coaching. So thank you so much for coming here today and enlightening us with your valuable experience and insights. And we look forward to, having this live soon enough.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Unmai.
Yes, yes. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Yeah.